Assalamualaikum everyone and welcome to another episode of Great People TV. My name is Ben Ibrahim. Pleasure to be your host for tonight. You must be thinking, Mana Hana? Well, Hana is in the land below the wind, aka Sabah, as she is there for a work assignment. She sends her apologies, minta maaf that she can't be here tonight. But it's a real shame that she can't be here tonight, but she's with us in spirit. So no problem, Hana. Hope everybody is well, and don't forget, please, as you can see on our screen right there, yes, Great People TV sekarang is now on Instagram. So press the follow button. Inshallah, we'll try to cut as much content, short content as possible, and place it on the Instagram page, the Facebook page, and also the YouTube page as well. So please follow all three: Facebook, YouTube, dan Instagram, and go on this journey with us because we are trying to get as many successful and great people as possible to come on our show and inspire you all about being successful. And being successful is not just about doing good things, it's also about making some mistakes. And like I always say, those mistakes make us better because what did you miss? What do you take out of the miss to make yourself better? So that's one of the ethos of Great People TV. Don't forget, at the end of this show, you can stand a chance to win a prize. Stick around, answer a very simple question, a very simple soalan at the end of the show, and stand a chance to menang, to win an accurate answer ISO 4-in-1 multifunctional blood glucose meter. Terima kasih ke accurate answer. It is a device that measures your glucose level. So it's very important that for those of you who don't want to become diabetic, nobody wants to become diabetic, you can help measure your glucose levels and help look after yourself better. Kesehatan. So please do that and stick at the end of the show and answer that very, very simple question. So tonight our episode is about a book. Yes, the apple, and the apple and the tree. That's right, written by activist and writer Datin Paduka Marina Mahathir, who's on our show right now, and she wants to be known as Marina. Datin Paduka Marina, or Marina, how are you? How have you been?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the show.
No, not a problem. Look, we'll just get stuck into it because I read the book and I just want to tell everybody out there some spoilers tonight, yeah? For those of you who I'm going to spoil a few things for you, but it's a great book. I told Marina before the show started, I connected it with it extremely well because a lot of the experience right there, not that my father was a prime minister, but a lot of the experience right there was something that I experienced and many people out there experience because of family duties and whatnot. But we'll get to that in a minute. But Marina, let's start with a very simple question: why and how did you write this book?
um, I've always wanted to write a full book, from start to finish, because my previous books have all been compilations of my column, and I never felt very satisfied because the columns are short, 800 words, 1,200 words, and I never felt as if I fully express myself in that short space of time. Short space. So I went off to do a master's in creative writing, which always wanted to do. I went off 2018 and learned how to write basically. And while I was there, I was writing pieces, and I wrote mostly about things that I knew, which was about Malaysia, which is, of course, in England where I was, it was very exotic to all of them. So I was writing a lot about my childhood, my family, things like that. And so I had all this material. And I came back in 2019 and didn't quite know what to do with it. So I kept on writing just to keep in practice. I did another online memo writing course. And quite by chance, in October, I think last year, um, my publisher, Penguin, approached me and asked if I would write a book for them. And specifically, they wanted me to write about the experience of being my father's daughter. So I thought, okay, I mean, you don't say no to Penguin Random House. They're only the biggest publishers in the world.
Exactly.
And I thought, well, I got to get this book out of the way, and I had a lot of the material already from class and from just writing bits myself. So it didn't take me too long to actually write the full manuscript, which they gave me a short deadline anyway. I had about 5 months, and yeah, that was how and why.
Okay, okay, interesting, interesting. And like you said, when someone comes knocking, the biggest publishing house in the world comes knocking, you don't say no. But what about your father? What did he think about the idea after all that he's been through in the last 2 years about writing about, you know, him being a big part of the book?
Well, I didn't ask him. I didn't feel the need. I didn't feel I needed his permission to write. I did occasionally tell him, I'm writing this book, and I needed sometimes to check with him on historical details, about his house in Alostar, about his family, that sort of thing. But I didn't really tell him what the book was about. So he had no input in it at all. In fact, nobody in my family had any input because I didn't show anyone the manuscript, and they only saw it when the book came out, really.
Well,
So yeah, so it's all me, and whatever is incorrect, that would be my fault. But factually incorrect. But yeah, it's written from my point of view of our family, about growing up, about various events and incidents.
right. Well, tell us about, because the book really, really gives reference, the apple and the tree, that you both are very, very similar to people who are close to you. The description that they describe of the both of you is that you both are very straightforward, no small talk, get straight to the point, no brown nosing or schmoozing required. So you both are known publicly to be have very similar characters. But tell us about your relationship between father and daughter.
Well, it's like any father and daughter, especially if you're the eldest. It's often close, but it's also often a clash of personalities. I think I used to joke that I'm the president of the eldest daughters club because I know so many fathers who complain about their daughters, their eldest daughters, because I guess when you're the first, your parents place a lot of expectations on you, and then when you're a girl, it's like, it's even worse, I think, because they really do expect you to live up to certain expectations and things like that. And while you want to do well, you also want to be your own person, and it sets an environment where sometimes it gets really a bit tense.
Yeah.
But but yeah, generally, we do get on. I think, especially now that I'm much older, I'm no longer a tempestuous teen. I recognize a lot of similarities, not necessarily in the way we think about things, or necessarily in our approach to things, but I do I do see a lot of similarities. For instance, I think we're both enormously disciplined, and like to be on time, that sort of thing, and don't suffer fools very gladly.
Well, let's talk about that, because I'm just going to change it up a little bit here from the initial questions that I sent you, because we're just warming up here. Look, everyone, this is the book. Put it on camera. Okay. A great read. That's my bookmark, by the way. I have to give back to my mother. If not, she's going to send me to jail. So, but you stressed, and I'm going to warn everybody, there's some spoilers coming up. So if you don't want to listen, put the mute button on, let the recording go, and share with everybody about this wonderful episode with Marina Mahathir about the book, The Apple and the Tree. So in the book, you said you worked very hard at wanting to prove yourself. Marina, not Marina Mahathir, Marina.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about how hard, after your time in England, you worked as a journalist in a publication in a media company for a short time, and then you had to come back because of personal circumstances. Tell us about that journey about trying to prove yourself as a professional, because you know what people are like, Marina. People will always say, "Oh, just because she's that, she gets that." When you actually, the truth of it is, you work your absolute you know what off behind the scenes to get to where you are. So tell us about the journey of proving yourself when you always has that big cast over you.
Yeah, well, definitely it was difficult. When I first started working, I was working at Rita Publishing on her World magazine, and I know that when I first got there, everyone kind of looked at me as if, oh, here she is, and she's going to be this little princess and that sort of thing. But I really, always wanted to be a journalist, and I always wanted to write professionally. So I just got down to it, and I didn't ask for anything special. I started off as a cadet reporter, just like any newbie, and just put my nose to the grindstone and worked. And my editor, Aisha Haben, who's a lovely, lovely woman, realized pretty quickly. I mean, at first when she first met me, it was like, but realized pretty quickly that I was there to work, and I was happy to do anything, any assignment that she sent me, except for food, for any cooking assignments because I can't cook. But the rest I would do, personality profiles. I would do the fashion shoots. I would do anything. And I even did the covers and things like that. So she saw that I was serious. I was serious about working. And so that was the beginning of it. But it was true that other people who didn't have to work with me on a day-to-day basis, often just saw me as this kind of princess thing. And some of them gave me a hard time, because they just couldn't see beyond it. And what was worse was that when I was at the Straits Times, we were in Balai Brita on the fourth floor. Mariana Musa, who's the daughter of Musa Hitam, who was my dad's deputy, she was also working there. And we've been friends since childhood, and every time we had coffee together in the canteen, everyone would go, uh-huh. It's like, oh, look, there's that elite group having coffee in the canteen, like everyone else. But yeah, so I worked my way up, and eventually I was good enough to be an acting editor when my boss Aisha went on leave, and then I moved to the PR side of things. So I think I paid my dues then, but I mean it was a constant struggle. But I really do think that it took a long while to finally come into my own, and that's really when I became chair of the AIDS Foundation and president of the AIDS Council, and then I really think I became my own person then.
Right. What did you keep telling yourself when, like, I mean, because you're kind of alone in that game, that, not many people will sympathize with you. But what did you keep telling yourself to push on and to become that better person, that editor, acting editor, to move on to the next level of your career? Because sometimes self talk is the hardest thing to do.
Well, I was brought up to never ever think that I could get anything for free. My parents always said that we always had to work for if we wanted to succeed in anything. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And so to me, having to work to prove myself was just the normal thing, just the natural thing. Um, but yeah, it was frustrating. I mean, I always had either people coming up to me and saying, "What's it like? What's it like?" And they had some romantic idea that I must sleep on seven mattresses or something like that, and have slaves all over the house or whatever. I'm not sure what they imagine. Um, and also that this constant thing about that I'm only there because of my dad. I mean, I suffered from that also when I went to school here in Malaysia even. And so it was tough. It was psychologically very what do you call it? It's bad for your self-esteem, right? To constantly have to fight this. But what else can I do except to work and try and prove that I'm good at whatever you ask me to do. So yeah, so that's what I did. At first I used to get annoyed everyone asking me,
Mm.
what's it like being, PM's at DPM and then PM's daughter and all that? And I used to get really irritated
Yeah.
by it. It's like, don't people have any imagination? And can't they see I'm much more than that? And then I started asking myself, well, what else is there to you? What else is interesting about you? And at that time in my 20s, when I was just starting work, I can't say there was anything else. I really still had to find myself and figure out where I was going. And yeah, it was only much later that I was acquiring skills in doing my various jobs, and it all came to a head, I guess, when I headed the AIDS Council, and I found I could use all those skills that I had picked up along the way to do some good.
Right, right. You should have just told them, Marina, that everything that you saw on Aladdin is the opposite of that.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I can show you the world in a magic cup. That's what some people think, isn't it? But people see
yeah,
it. People see what they want to see. But you said something about your childhood, and in the book, I remember specifically when you were at TKC, a very famous school in Malaysia and Seremban, a very prestigious school for smart, very intelligent women. And remember that, everybody, TKC, there's a big hint right there in terms of what I'm going to ask towards the end of the show. But I remember there was a part in the book where you said your father came. I think he had sideburns. He looked really handsome. He looked really young. I think he came in a sports car. I'm not sure. I don't
yeah.
think he was the prime minister
His
yet.
friend's podcast. No, no, no. That was those were the years when he was still, you know,
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
politics. So I like outside the party anyway.
And I remember in the book it said, he held your hand. Forgive me if my facts are incorrect, but he held your hand. You both went to the canteen, and had a drink, and he was asking how things were. And everybody, like the whole of TKC, was staring at the both of you and like thinking that this is some sort of La La Land fairy tale, Princess Diana, Prince Charles thing story that has come to TKC. But when you wrote, I mean, the words that you used to describe that moment, that the feeling, those intangibles, you felt I mean, you said, "What is this? Is this my life?" Can you tell us how were you feeling? Don't forget, you were a lot younger. You didn't know anything. You were still learning the world. What were you feeling at that time? And were you feeling scared? Oh my God, is this the life that I have to lead?
I'm
Always,
not
always,
sure.
always in the spotlight. You know.
Well, at that time, he was out because he'd been sacked from UMNO because he had clashed with Prime Minister Tun Dr at the time. But he was famous, and so when he came to visit me, to everyone else, it's like, wow, this celebrity has come to visit. But that was one thing. So they were curious about him because of that. And the other thing was that my dad and I are very affectionate, and it's very rare, I think, for Malay parents to walk around with their Malay fathers walk around with their daughter holding hands and that sort of thing. So everyone thought like, oh, how sweet. And that was it. I didn't. I was felt pretty proud, that I had this handsome dad come and visit me. But I think you're referring to another time, perhaps when I was in university, when I really was on my own, and I got challenged by someone about Malaysia, Malaysian politics, Malaysian policies, and I realized that I really didn't know enough to answer him, and whatever I knew, I was just really repeating what I heard my dad say, what I heard other people say, and I wasn't sure whether they were my own opinions. And that's when I realized that really I need to think for myself. I really need to learn. I need to be a bit more aware, and I need to find out what I think about issues. And that was really a moment for me, when I really saw that I had to stand up on my own and decide who I want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that leads me perfectly to my next question. Again, I'm jumbling up the questions that I sent you a bit because of the
It's
how you're telling
okay.
the
It's
story.
okay.
Yeah. But like,
It's okay.
you stood up for yourself in your career. I've always seen that about you. I've always admired that about you. And the book is also just rammed home those points. And I remember there was a part in the book when you were in public relations, you were organizing big events, and there was sometimes your father was the guest of honor, and he came, and I don't think he knew that you were behind the scenes pulling all the strings for these events. And then there was one.
I'm not sure about pulling all the strings.
Yeah, well, you ran the event basically according to the book. And then there was one time in the book it said, look, he saw you from afar and he started approaching you. Like I presume you wanted to say hello or whatever, and then you gave him this death stare, like don't, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then like later on when you all went home, you I think in the book it said you told him off and said, look, don't do that because it will unravel all the hard work that I've done. I mean, can you just tell us a little bit more about those moments when again it was going back to trying to prove yourself?
Yeah, well, I worked at Brita Publishing, and then I left and I joined a PR firm, and I was like a normal account executive. I had to run around, write releases, lick envelopes, and run around organizing things and things like that, and I often forgot uh, that I had this dad, and my colleagues and all that accepted me as I was. They saw that I could work. I'm very okay with hunkering down with all of them just to do whatever needed to be done. But of course, some of these events, they are launchings or what was it? It was a topping up of a building. Actually, it was the Putra World Trade Center, I think. And my dad was the VIP, and it so happened that this one time, I usually stay very far back because I'm running around making sure things are going like clockwork. But this one time, I was a little bit more in front, I think, because I had to hand the host something so that he could give it to dad and that sort of thing. So my dad saw me, and I think he wanted to say something to me about something. I think, I mean, he's a bit like me, it's like in that you think of something and you kind of have to straight away, you
Communicated.
know
Yeah.
communicate it, because otherwise you'll forget, right? So he saw me and he started, and he forgot himself and he forgot everything, and and he came towards me because it's like, oh, I just saw, oh, okay, I need to tell her something, and he started walking towards me, and me, I'm going like, no, no, please, no, 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 no. And he finally saw me, and then like he got it and he stopped, and he turned around and he went off. So when I went home, I at dinner, I was saying, don't do that. It'll remind them of who I am, and I'm just supposed to be little Marina. I'm the account executive here. So he thought it was hilarious. He just thought it was hilarious, but he understood. He understood, and I think he respected that, but he still thought it was funny. I didn't think it was funny.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, your dad is strong-willed, stubborn in a good in a leadership way. How would you rate his strong willingness slash stubbornness on a scale of 1 to 10, and how would you rate yours?
Oh, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think he's like 15.
Okay, he's
Me, I don't think I'm stubborn at all.
okay.
I think I'm much more pliable and flexible, and I think I listen to different points of view and then decide, because I think it's important, especially if you're in a leadership position, you have to make a decision, and you have to come to the table with your own ideas and own views, but you have to be able to listen to everyone, and then you have to make a decision because that's your job after listening to everyone. And I think I mean, I think he's very much like that. He has his own ideas about things, and then he makes a decision. But unless you can convince him, he's harder to convince because he really needs good evidence, before he'll change his mind. Whereas I'm a little bit more, yeah, okay, yeah, maybe that sounds right,
So
and then
what's your number?
I'll decide.
His magic number is 15. What's your magic number?
Oh, in terms of stubbornness,
I'm not like strong
uh,
will. I mean, stubborn's a bit of a negative word, but strong will. But I see stubborn as a good thing sometimes. You need to be a bit stubborn when you're a leader or when you lead.
yeah, I'm probably about 7.
Okay,
I
or half.
don't know. I've never rated myself, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well, no right or wrong answer. And here's a little bit of a surprise that we have for you that I didn't send you, but gonna have some fun with it. How do you think your dad? If I had your dad in front of me 20 minutes ago, how would he describe you?
Oh, difficult. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. You should ask him.
Well, do you want to ask him?
If you ever get a chance to interview him, do ask him. I'd love to know.
Do you want to ask him?
Um, huh?
Do you want to ask him?
No. What now?
Yeah,
No.
let's now. I've got something here that let's ask him. Have a look at this. Yeah, have a look at this. Individual.
Well, she is, I know she has opinions not always the same as mine. She's very critical.
Yeah. A good daughter.
Yeah, it's a good daughter, yeah.
Oh my God. When was that?
Yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah. He always says I'm critical. He always says I come with, bad news all the time.
yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
no, not bad news. I mean, real news, because I have to make sure that you get balanced view of things. So, but he thinks I'm always, you know, sort of negative about everything. It's not true. I'm not negative about everything, but I just think that he needs to know what's really going on.
And I asked him. He said, "Has he read the book?" Because I'll be fully transparent with you. I and my team went to see him yesterday. We had this appointment booked about months ago because we interviewed him our third episode of Great People TV, and it was very popular because of his views on many things, which people love to see and hear, of course. And it was a very successful episode. A lot of newspapers quoted us, so it was a great win for Great People TV. And and he was himself. He wasn't anybody else. So AccuAnswer, our sponsor, which measures people's glucose levels, they wanted to thank him and say thank you for being on the show. So we booked an appointment. We went to see him. So I just said, and the stars really realigned when one of my, you came, you said yes to come on the show, and it was tonight, and my appointment was yesterday. So I just thought I would do good journalism, and spice it up a bit.
Yeah, you sure did. Well, at least he says I'm a good daughter.
Yeah. He did.
I
Okay.
I order his favorite ice cream when he wants it.
Good relationship building skills. And if he were to sign you a book, like if he were to read the book and sign the book and sign it out to you, not to anybody else, what would he sign? What would be his words at the front of the book?
He's the least sentimental person in the world. So he'll just put there to Ina, which is what he calls me, love dad. Or not even love, I think sometimes I think he signs his actual signature. Yeah, he's like that. He just doesn't know how to do the kind of, sentimental thing like that. But that's him lah, you know.
Do
We're
you,
so used to it. My mom more than makes up for it because
yeah.
my mom will write reams. So she makes up for him.
Yeah, well, your mom signed my MC script that I MC'd for Padana many, many years ago. Your dad just turned around to me and said, "Good job," and your mom was
Yeah.
like full of praise, signed it, and I've still got it upstairs. It was great. It's
Yeah.
probably the highlight of my career. But would you like to know? I asked him to sign a book made out to you.
No.
Did you know?
Why?
No, I just wanted to know what he would write, and I wanted to know if it would be consistent with what you just said. Shall we find out?
Yeah, okay. Gosh, you're ambushing me a lot, Ben. He signed my own book.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this to. This is your book. Yeah, I'm giving it to you. But you have to swap with me with the other book. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what he
okay.
wrote?
What?
To Marina.
I told you.
But he dated it seventh of December.
I that that's yeah, that's his thing. And I do that too. I mean, I learned something about he said that you should always date it when you sign a book, so I do. But you see, there you go.
There you go. The
There
answer.
you go.
The answer is
I know
but
him.
yeah. But tell us about tell us about your. I mean, obviously, you're both are very close. You get him his favorite ice cream, and I mean, the book shows that you sign him very, very much, despite him being stubborn or tough or this, that, or the other. But tell us about the relationship, because you were your columns over the years with the Star newspaper, the work you did with the Aid Council. It was kind of, let's be frank, a little bit at that time, a little bit opposite of where the government was going. So, did you ever have those what I like to call clangers? And you said to him, "Hey, how could you? You're the Prime Minister of Malaysia, trying to make this country a better place, but you're actually not doing that." Did you have? Tell us about those kind of conversations. Did you?
Um, really, not that often.
No.
One, I didn't see him that much, because he's a busy guy. And I used to write my column, just write whatever I wanted. And I never said, you shouldn't do this because as an NGO and all that, we take issue with the government of the day. So it's always like, okay, I'm critical of the government, not him personally. So I'm not saying, Dad, you're wrong. I'm saying the government is wrong, which is a wholly different thing. But I think is the professional thing to do because the issues are national issues, they're large issues, and as an NGO, we work on principles. So it doesn't matter who's in government. If they do something which we feel is not right, not beneficial, then we have a right to say something. And that's the way I approached it, really. Unless there was real emergency, then I never, when I was at the AIDS Council particularly, never used the connection unless it was a particular emergency. And I remember one time there was an issue in the newspaper about a woman who had gotten infected with HIV through blood transfusion. And it became a big controversy. And what it did was that it scared off people from receiving, both donating and receiving blood, which was a very bad situation, very dangerous situation, because there'll always be someone who needs a blood transfusion. So I, as the president of the Malaysian AIDS Council, and my exco at the time, my executive committee at the time, we all made a formal appointment to go and see him and to brief him about the dangers of this issue of being someone getting infected, and then on top of that the newspapers went and outed the person who donated the blood, even though when he donated, he had no idea that he was HIV positive. In fact, it was human error that his blood should have been tested, but someone missed it somehow, and then it wound up being given to this woman. So it was terrible situation. But that's one of the very, very rare times that I actually asked for an appointment to go and brief him. And the other incident I talk about in the book was when we wanted to brief him about HIV situation, and we actually had to wait 9 months for the appointment
Yeah.
before we could do that. And yeah, so I never tried to use that connection um, unless it was extremely important.
Well, the book highlighted that. The book highlighted that and stressed that. I think like very consistent to what you just said. 9 months. Sometimes you even said in the book that the ADCs and the special officers would try to make a point just because you're the daughter doesn't mean anything. He's busy. He's busy, and that's very
Yeah, I
consistent.
mean, I don't control his schedule,
Yeah, yeah. I think the book said that you had an opening because Nelson Mandela canceled on him. So
Yeah, right.
yeah, so that was amazing. Look, Maria, this has been a sound and solid episode. We've only got three more questions because you've answered everything very, very thoroughly, specific to the point. That's what I like about interviewing you. But I want to ask you a question about moral compass because as long as I've known you, I've interviewed you before in previous TV shows and previous networks, and they said that you always try to do the right thing. And that's very reflective in your columns, in your writings, your social activity work, not just with the Malaysian AIDS Council. Now, this point hit me very hard in the book. Okay, like it was like, wow, Marina trying to do the right thing. Moral compass question: during the time that your dad felt betrayed by Anwar Ibrahim, okay, and like you find, I mean, you like you said, you came home. I mean, the book said you came home, you find out this, that, and the other, and then the book said that you went up to your dad and said, "Dad, really? He's been thrown in jail because he had a relationship with someone?" And like the book also said that, I mean, as the head of the Malaysian AIDS Council and as a private matter, those kind of things should be private. So,
Mhm.
what was going through your mind, and did you ever have a conversation with him about that? Because the book said that he just said, "Well, this is your book said your dad just said as a by the by, this is what he's been charged with."
Yeah, I didn't know much about the political side of things. I did hear all sorts of rumors. This is 98, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm not the sort who likes to listen to gossip. So when people come and tell me things, I just feel like, very icky. And my dad's like that too, actually. He doesn't like rumors and gossip. So he usually likes proof. So I guess he got convinced at some point, but I didn't know anything about that. So when all that happened, and then all this horrible stuff was on the news, on mainstream news, on the just sort of the evening news and all that, I just felt that this is kind of really icky, And I turned to him and I say, "Is this really necessary? I mean, we've never had anything quite like that about people's personal proclivities or whatever aired on national TV." So I asked him, like, really? Um, and then, of course, I was concerned about what the effect of that will be on the communities that I work with.
That's right.
Um, and so, we had to be really vigilant. We had to, there were all sorts of things going on. We were about to have a big AIDS conference, and the whole world, of course, heard about this issue. And and I had to deal with the responses both domestically and internationally, and it wasn't much fun. But for me, I was very clear that um, the I'm not interested in the politics. I'm interested on what effect this will have on the communities I work with, and that's how I handled it. I didn't I didn't get involved. I didn't know all the political players. I didn't get involved in it, but I did express concern when one politician type tried to set up an NGO that was, literally homophobic, and I just came out. I just couldn't stand it. I had a press conference, or I had a press release saying this is ridiculous and totally unnecessary, and it will harm a lot of people, and then it got shut down immediately. I mean, when people do it as an opportunity to put themselves uh, on air and all that, it's there's never any grounding to it, so it's very easy to shut down. And then I had to deal with people who wanted to from overseas, who felt that, oh, maybe we shouldn't have the regional AIDS conference in Malaysia. It's a bit like how people protest, the Olympics, if something happens, and I said, no, that would harm us a great deal. That would really harm us a great deal. And it would also actually also, if those organizations boycotted our conference or issued a statement, uh, and they would actually harm Dr. Sri Anwar at the time. So, because I don't think he would have appreciated the support from those particular organizations. So, I had to sort of juggle all these things and try and explain to people that nothing is as straightforward as simple as it seems.
Yeah.
And so, well, luckily they did, listen to our voices, and understood that it would actually harm people on the ground here, and I mean the communities that we work with. And so they backed off, and eventually we had the conference, and it was very successful. And
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, because I remember, I mean, one thing that touched me about that part of the book, you said, oh, this man and his wife were nice people, came to my wedding, they're nice, and all of a sudden this, that's where politics gets a bit complicated sometimes. So, but yeah, I mean, good answer. And like you said, I mean, it's great to reinforce that you or your father don't like to listen to gossip, like to listen to the facts and just get down to it. But one other part of the book that also was like a wow, in the book is like two things. Is that your dad's second stint in politics, and I'm not going to talk about the details there because I think everybody has spoken about that 2005 times, and we don't want to speak about that again. But in the sense that, I just want to ask you, how did it feel when your dad told you two things? The first one, when he was in hospital with the heart surgery, and it was a bit complicated because he got a fever and his temperature was up, and they had to do another procedure. He was down. He didn't read books. He didn't listen to Nat King Cole music, and he just said to you, "I want to die." That's one. And then the second part is when you went to see him when his second stint, well, as prime minister, and he didn't have the support. He said to you, "I want to quit." And these two episodes are pretty similar because we know your dad. He don't quit. He doesn't know what quit is. Okay, I don't think that word exists in his dictionary. So, tell us about how those two situations, were they similar? How did it make you feel? The emotions that went through you at that time.
No, they're very different. One was that, he'd had his heart surgery, and he'd been through two operations. Heart operations are very, very major, especially at the time he was already in his 80s. And I think, like a lot of heart patients, if you're very slow in recovering and you're still in a lot of pain and things, you feel very down. And so he was very down, and I so happened to be there, and he kind of wanted to give up. And I guess in that way, I'm like him. I'm not, I don't sort of like, oh, it's like, you can't do that and do all the dramatics. And I just said very, very, matter of factly to him that no, you'll go one time. You'll go because we all do, but you're not going to do it here in this hospital bed, because that's no way to go. you know when you go, it will be on your own terms, and surrounded by all the people you love. um and somehow, yeah, I don't know how I found the strength to do it. I just thought that this is what he should hear. And it was only half effective because it still took time for him to get out of it. The other incident, which is the more recent one, which was last year, was quite different because he didn't say to me, "I want to quit." I happened to come along as he was signing the "I quit" letter. Um, well, he was about to sign it, and I read it over his shoulder. And I didn't know what had happened the past few days, but I kind of understood it, because when he does that, it means he's always said to me that when people don't want you, you should go. And yeah, and I remember he was telling me how Margaret Thatcher, who was his friend, um, he always felt that she stayed on too long as head of the Conservative Party and as PM of the UK. And so after a while, those people in her own party ousted her. And and he felt, because of the incident the day before when his own party turned against him, he said, like, you know, okay, if they don't want me, then I'll just go. And that was very simple reasoning. And they didn't they didn't want him because he wouldn't agree with them to join up with the people that they had all ousted in the last election. The people who are, facing, criminal trials and things like that. So to him, like, that's crazy. And so he didn't want to do that and say, okay, well, then I'll leave. And that was it. And to me, I always think that he doesn't do these things lightly, and he's not impulsive in that way. So he's got good reason. And so, we'll just support him.
Right, right, right. And with everything happened with, Dr. Sri Najib in the last sort of 24 hours, and because the book did highlight some of it, not in great detail, about all the, unethicalness, if that's a word, that what was happening. What do you think he deserves? What he deserves? What the courts are saying?
Am I allowed to say that? Well, twice already they've confirmed what their verdict. So only one more step to go. So yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, you feel that? Yeah, you can say whatever you want. I mean, no right or wrong answer. It's your opinion, so it's all good. Yeah.
Well, I think, a lot of people want to see justice done. And we've been talking about this since
Yeah.
2016, 2017, and we're still not seeing justice done. So we hope it won't be much longer.
Well, it was the reason your dad came back to politics. One of the main reasons, anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I asked. I'm not trying
And
to.
he was absolutely right that, if you the only reason that those people wanted to come back in was to try and get him off the hook.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, the book alluded that was the main reason your dad came back, and he was very public about that. over the years with the rallies and everything like that. And it's amazing a man his age could do all those rallies. He could probably beat me in
Uh,
he could probably beat me in a 5K run at that time, which is pretty embarrassing.
but not quite, but not quite, but yeah,
I thought
yeah.
he was amazing. So good for him. And but one final question, Marina, before we call it a night. It's been a great interview, and you've given just simple antidotes to the questions that were asked. Nothing too complex, and that's what I like about you, and that's what many people like about you. And I know you get asked this question. You got asked this question a lot over the years. You know, Marina, you'd make a fine politician, iron lady like Margaret Thatcher, this, that, and the other. But the book specifically said that's not you. Okay, you were when you were at university, you never joined any political rally. You even said you were a little bit ignorant to what was going on here and there politically, and you were quite happy that you were in another environment, learning different things in a different culture, even from your American high school days when you went to California. And then, you never really you never followed your dad in those UMNO rallies over the years. Only with Pakatan Harapan did you go up on stage and said, Pakatan Harapan. I didn't see it, but the book said it. And when I read it, I was like, this is not the Marina I know. And the book said,
Ah,
not, this is not me. So my question is, could you see yourself leading any political party one fine day, because you're all about change and progress, CNP. So sometimes to achieve CNP, you have to do these kind of things, even though it's out of your own comfort. So could you see us? I mean, and never say never. Could you see yourself running a political party or helping run a political party to achieve CNP?
time based. No, definitely not. Not at this age. I really do think that getting into politics, particularly getting into party politics, you need stamina, and therefore you need to do it at a very young age. So I'm very
True.
thrilled to see all these young people now getting interested in politics and forming their own organizations like Muda and that sort of thing. I think it's terrific. That's the time to do it because that's a lot of hard work and a lot of running around. So me, I think I'm a little bit past it now. So I doubt it. And I've never been interested in joining political parties. I just feel that I would just chafe all the time at rules and regulations and not really being able to call out people if they do something wrong. So and anyway, I've never ever been invited by any single political party to join them. So I think they're all a bit wary of me. So that I would be difficult. So yeah, no,
Yeah.
nope.
Okay. No. Okay. That's what I thought you'd say. So So yeah, it's very consistent. And just a word of advice: where can people get this book? Why should they read it? All of the above. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. It was the last
Thank
few nights
you.
have been really more inspiring for me, and that's why I've been looking forward to this interview.
It's at all major bookstores. So yeah, um, yeah, and it's doing very well at the moment. But I think by next week it might be shelved off the bookshelves by another book. So what can I do about that? Nothing. So while you can, go and get the book.
Okay. Okay. Any other words of wisdom for anybody out there?
About what?
Anything? Life? Like you know.
I think that there's so many stories. There's so many Malaysian stories that need to be told, and everybody has a great story. I mean, don't ever think that your life is too ordinary to anyone because everyone has a story. So, if anyone feels like writing a book or writing it about their lives, whether it's just for themselves or just online or something, I think they really should do it because I think we don't have enough. We don't have enough. I mean, the history of Malaysia, I'm sorry, my AirPods keep dropping off. The history of Malaysia is really also about its people. And I think Everybody has got great stories. I mean, happy stories, sad stories, whatever. But it the whole collection of it makes up what Malaysia is.
Yeah. Well, Michelle Yeoh said it the best, Marina. She always said that, if you, because I did interview her once, and she said, what should we Malaysians do to get out there and tell everybody that, because Malaysians are talented people. It's just we're not very good at shouting about it. But she said, go out there and shout. Get Hollywood
Yeah,
to write our stories. And I think your daughter.
yeah. I mean, our stories are just as valid as anyone else.
Exactly.
So why not?
Yeah, yeah, and your daughter did a great job with M for Malaysia. So please pass her my. I think I sent her a message on Instagram or Facebook once. We don't know each other that well, but I thought she did a great job, and that was quality. So I think it's
Thank you.
well on the way. So thank you so much for your time. We will catch up in, well, rather in more safer times. If I don't see you or hear from you before the end of the year, which is not that far away, please pass my best to your family, and have a great end of 2021, and I'm sure we'll catch up soon in 2022. But good job on the book. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, and we'll
Thanks
catch
for
up.
having me.
Thanks, Jack. Good night. Thank you so much.
Night.
What a fantastic interview with the great Datin Paduka Marina Mahathir, activist and writer, and the author of this wonderful book in the Apple and the Tree. Just going a bit higher right there with Tun Dr. Mahathir bin Mohamad. And thank you, Tun, also for coming on our show. Thank you, Tun, for letting us in your office yesterday to give you the AccuAnswer gift. Don't forget AccuAnswer, helping people measure their glucose levels and also looking after yourself better. And he received the gift as a token of appreciation. So like a typical journalist, because I was inspired by Marina, the journalist, I got some sound bites and also ambushed her a bit tonight, which she took it in good spirits. So that's good journalism, I say. So we have a quiz question for you, as promised. Okay, name the school in Seremban that Marina attended. Okay, and here's a big hint. When I spoke about her father coming in with sideburns, handsome and everything, he was ousted by UMNO at that time. He wasn't prime minister yet, but there was the name of a school. It was 3 letters. Okay, it sounds like KFC, but with a T in it. Okay, so what was the name of that school? If you name the school, put it in the comment section of the Great People TV episode tonight. You will stand a chance to win an AccuAnswer prize. It will be sent to you, but please, everybody, tolong sikit. Okay. Please, I think, okay, someone has answered already. Or no, a few people have answered. Actually, the same person. So please keep the answer has to be betul, yeah? It has to be accurate. It's not about speed. Speed is about accuracy and then speed. So once you get that, we will send you a prize. We will mail it to you, and it's an AccuAnswer glucose level to measure your glucose levels, and inshallah, you and your family will be very, very healthy and will not get diabetes. So thank you everyone for being part of tonight's Great People TV episode. My name is Ben Ibrahim. We'll catch you next week on another great episode. But don't forget, we have another contest for Great People TV. This time you can win. Do it, okay? You can win. The You have to go to AccuAnswer. You have to create a digital poster. Okay? You create a digital poster and you stand a chance to win RM500 in cash prize. That's right. Okay? Thank you so much. Terima kasih AccuAnswer. AccuAnswer will do everything, but please go to the AccuAnswer Facebook and also find out more details. Please press like, tekan like, and everything will be okay, inshallah. Wow, as I say that, we have come up to the 1 hour mark of the show. My name is Ben Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for watching Great People TV, and we'll catch you next week on the next episode of Great People Television. Jangan lupa tekan subscribe, follow, dan like. Selamat malam. Good night.